Hi there, my name is Mark Palmer, and I'm a recent retiree. I worked 37 years for the province under different departments and that sort of thing. I just want to touch a little bit more on the same sort of area that the previous speaker did. 2 points, really. One is that it's really nice, and as others, thank you for coming around and sharing some information. Leave's always better than, not at all. And in terms of the actuarial information, I think we simply have to keep in mind that the government, the fund, all the employers in our nation and the world have been receiving this information from actuarial for a long, long time. And it's that very same professional group that got us right in the problems that we're starting to get right now. Now, certainly the money that wasn't put in to the PSSA and other pension early on, because if you listen to the money management people, if you invest a nickel now, many, many years down the road, it's going to be a massive amount of money. But there's been all kinds of mistakes in the past. I couldn't agree more, Mr. Hayes, that we have to move forward, find solution. The responsibility of government here to negotiate with us as a group, I think, is imperative. Okay. Your basis in law to come and do the stuff that you're doing is extremely weak, right? If people did it on the street, it'd be called theft. We'd lock them up. Okay. Now, in a more real fashion, you, being the government, you have a responsibility to organize us so that we can negotiate with you. Now, we've got an organization that's growing out of anger and fear. Okay, we need an organization, and we'll certainly grasp on to one. But I think the organization that we most want is a democratic organization where we get an opportunity to understand, create policies within that organization, elect people so that they can go and sit with you and represent us, and in a way. And right now, the ad hoc group is doing a magnificent job, and I think we need to recognize that. But as the former speaker said, okay, you're the government. You're supposed to understand process, okay? And to this point, what's been happening is absolutely a failure, okay? Now, we have to slow this process down. We've been generations of people that have always committed, as some of the former speakers, okay? We've been the people that have been the doers, okay? This generational gap, those are our kids, our grandkids. You're not more concerned about them than we are, right? So, I'll echo again, I think you have to tone the rhetoric down and stop insulting us and antagonizing us. And you also have to work, either starting with the ad hoc group and find some way to expand that out. But if you want to do the right thing, the obligation is yours to organize us so that we can get together and do responsible things.
Martin, I think it was Martin, you're absolutely right. And I think the situation we have is we're not as good as organizers as you are. So I do take your point, and the opportunity for us to do a better job here is we decided on the right solution together. That's what this process is about. And I hope in this discussion this afternoon that there isn't anyone here that thinks that we have been antagonistic in any way, that we haven't been listening, and I'm not talking about what you've experienced to date. I'm not going to comment on it one way or the other. I'm talking about this meeting. Because this meeting was about us just sharing ideas and trying to find the next step. And I hope that's how it's being received.
Recently, like you said, the nurses signed on to this recently the budget because of what they negotiated beyond their pensions. You had to dump a whole bunch of money into that. I wondered if this is such a great
were in trouble. They were in danger of not being able to fund. They were not a guaranteed pension plan because that is the model that would be the norm. The agreements that were struck were ones that put them on a square footing going forward. It does balance out over time so that it is on a full program like this, like we're proposing here. The only difference between their plan and what we have here is that the ones that exist in the PSSA and the teachers have been fully funded. Contributions have been made to top them up, to keep them fully funded because of, and we talked about the 2 to 2.5 and the 3 to 1 contribution levels. The other programs didn't have that. So we've put them on a square footing. What we're saying here is that this situation is one that we want to get this same one on a square footing for the future, but not be in the same situation to all taxpayers in the province that has existed since it started. That's the difference.
Our plan is changing. Right? We can go to the shared risk model and so on. Is there an obligation by the government to not, if we're going to cease the plan, our actuaries told us we're going to stop the plan, we have to make up the deficit that is existing. Is the government of New Brunswick going to put in the deficit amount if we go to a shared risk from where we are today? Is there a deficit today in that our existing plan?
There is a deficit today in the existing plan. It's $1 billion, as I've shown you on the slides. Okay?
Cease the plan, we had to put in, say, $200 million or $400 million, whatever the number was to be, to go to a new plan.
Oh, if you're saying closing the plan, ending it, then you get into a guaranteed situation, and you need to find $5.5 billion to close the plan.
Okay. Does the government of New Brunswick have the power to do that because the city of St. John could not do that?
That's a legal question. I would not be able to answer that question.
So if that's the case, this is a different plan, and it's going to affect us indirectly or directly, and that's what he's saying. Because really, this new plan is for new hires. It's not for the retirees. The retirees were under an old plan, and if you're changing our old plan, then I think you have an obligation. If it's $500 million or $1 billion, then pay it. And we're all protected.
When the new plan, if the new plan, be careful of the choice of words here. If the new plan is implemented, there will be sufficient contributions to overfund the plan over the next 15 years to the tune of 15%, over and above what's needed to operate. That's correct. And the contributions that are being made now in the PSSA will fund that deficit over 19 years.
And if we don't agree to that new plan, the deficit will still exist. Is that the case?
Yeah, it will still be there, and we'd be topping it up over the next 19 years, as Conrad said. If you'll notice this year in the budget, we have, optimistically speaking, maybe I should say, we allocated $110 million in this year's budget. And that was, when you convert the plan, the one-time cost was going to be $110 million to the province. And then you went on an overfunding model, as Conrad just said, to make up this shortfall that existed in over time. And you get up to 115%. But that was 110 that would hit us once the conversion was done.
Once again, in the spirit of trust, please grant all those decisions here today. Those who are going to be here today or retire. Thank you.
The cat's out of the bag. Is it legal for the government to bail out their financial obligations? Like, it doesn't matter. It's the Conservatives we have in here now. 2 years from now, might be doing the same with the Liberals. Well, this bailing out of this financial obligation stand up in court. I think we might as well get this question resolved right now as soon as possible. And then your last bullet, you say your pension will continue to compare favorably to other public sector programs. compare the MLA pension and the judicial pension.
The situation, we hope that we're not in any legal situation. That's not our goal, that's not our intent. Our intent is to find a solution. So whether we have the legal authority or not is something that we're not pushing and debating at this stage. And so that goes along with the question earlier about how do we resolve this. Well, we resolve this through coming up with a path that's sustainable. That's our goal. And that's what we're working towards. And as far as the other pension plans, separately, you mentioned judges and MLAs. I can't speak to judges and the legal system as such. It's kind of a different system, and I can't really speak to that. But certainly in terms of the MLAs, I talked to that earlier. That all falls in the same process that we're going through here. We're talking about today.